And what were your observations of her mental status?
I can remember certain elements, but I don't remember. She was dressed in, she was appropriately dressed. Her speech was of normal rate and volume. Behaviorally, she was polite and cooperative.
Does that refresh your memory as to what your observations were of her mood?
Yes.
What was her mood?
Anxious.
Okay.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Cody Thomas. Now, prosecutors are building a case that Lindsay Clancy was fully aware of her actions on the day her 3 children were killed by her. The state argues Clancy frequently switched doctors and medications and was uncooperative with her treatment plan. Prosecutors assert that medical providers are not responsible for her actions, though. Earlier today, her treating psychiatrist testified about walking Clancy through the suicide checklist.
There's question 3, a specific plan. Do you have a specific plan of how you would kill yourself? And her answer was no, correct?
Correct.
4th question is access to weapons or means of hurting yourself, and the answer is no, correct?
Correct.
The 5th question is made a serious suicide attempt, and the answer was no, correct?
Correct.
The 6th question, purposely done something to hurt yourself. Again, no, correct?
Correct.
7th question, heard voices telling you to hurt yourself. Her answer was no, correct?
Correct.
Number 9, having thoughts of killing or seriously hurting someone else. The answer was no, correct?
Correct.
Number 10, heard voices telling you to hurt others. The answer was no, correct?
Correct.
Hurt someone or destroyed property on purpose. The answer was no, correct?
Correct.
In fact, the answers to every question on this suicide checklist was no, correct?
Correct.
Now, Dr. Tufts is still on the stand under direct examination. Let's go back inside the Massachusetts courtroom.
Trazodone 50 to 150 milligrams was minimal effect. Ativan and Benadryl combination was helpful. Then she added the Prozac 10 milligrams with the Ativan and Benadryl to help with the sleep, but she still had worse sleep, so that was stopped. Then she tried a combination of Remeron with Klonopin, but she felt disoriented, had rebound anxiety, and it was of minimal help. Then she tried Remeron and Seroquel, and that was prescribed, but she didn't take it.
And these medications that she was talking to you about, those weren't prescribed by you, correct?
Correct.
Did she tell you that those had been prescribed by her provider at South Shore Perinatal Clinic?
Yes.
And what is Trazodone?
It is the category is an antidepressant, but the doses that we use are low, so it's really a sleep medicine.
And what is the lowest dose of Trazodone?
50.
And what is the highest?
It can go very high, up to maybe 600.
Okay. So the 50 to 150 milligrams that Ms. Clancy told you she had taken, is that on the lower end of the dosage?
Yes, it's the commonly prescribed dose, again, because it's mostly used as a sleep medicine. So those are the normal ranges.
Okay. And Prozac, I think you had said earlier, was an SSRI?
Yes.
And that was a medication Ms. Clancy had told you she had taken in nursing school, correct?
Yes.
With no side effects then?
Yes.
And she told you on December 1st, 2022, that the Prozac had worsened her sleep?
Yes.
And then what is Remeron?
Remeron is mirtazapine.
And what's that?
It's another antidepressant.
And what is Klonopin?
It is a benzodiazepine like the Ativan.
So prescribing Remeron as an antidepressant and Klonopin as an anxiety medication, is that an unusual combination?
No.
And then she told you she had been prescribed Remeron and Seroquel but hadn't started that, correct?
So I think she had started the Remeron, but maybe hadn't started the Seroquel yet.
Okay. And did she also tell you that she was having some intrusive thoughts on the Remeron, so she was planning on stopping?
Yes.
Did she tell you what those intrusive thoughts were?
She said it was a feeling like I'm going to die.
Not a feeling that she wanted to kill herself, but a feeling like she was going to die.
Yes.
Did you ask her if she had suicidal ideation?
Yes.
What was her response?
So she denied having suicidal ideation, but she was feeling pretty badly. She said she was close to it, meaning close to having some suicidal thoughts, and that she was feeling very hopeless. But she didn't have any active thoughts of hurting herself, didn't have any intention of doing anything, didn't have any plans.
Did she also tell you, and this is a quote in the records on page 144, "I think it's my problem. I keep reaching out to different people and not sticking with the plan"?
That's what I documented.
Okay. And did you discuss that with her, that concern that she kept reaching out to different people and wouldn't stick with the plan?
Yes, I advised that she have one person who is managing the medications.
And why is that important?
So that it's very clear what's happening.
And what is the importance, if any, of sticking with a plan, a mental health plan?
Well, the importance of sticking with a plan. Obviously, the psychiatrist comes up with a plan for very particular reasons. And so, sticking with the plan is advisable.
When you prescribe psychiatric medications, do those medications take effect immediately?
No.
How does that effect start to happen in a person?
Well, it depends which medicine. Some medicines do work very quickly, like the benzodiazepines, Ativan and Klonopin. But the medicines that prevent anxiety, the medicines that prevent depression, those do take a long time to actually kick in.
And why is that?
So the way that the medications interact with the brain, the serotonin receptors, the way that they change the neurotransmitters, it takes time for those changes to happen.
Okay. Now, did you also talk to Ms. Clancy about bipolar disorder that day?
Yes.
And why did you do that? So
it was mentioned because of the poor reaction she had to some of her medications, the insomnia. So we discussed whether these side effects she was experiencing indicated she had bipolar disorder. But when that was assessed, it was not deemed that she had bipolar disorder.
And why was that?
Because she really didn't meet the criteria.
And what criteria didn't she meet?
So there's a number of different criteria for bipolar disorder, or specifically looking at mania, because she did have some symptoms of depression, but the other side is mania. So the most important one is euphoria. So actually 7 days of continued euphoria with very high energy levels. That's the most important one. But then in addition to that, you need some other things like potentially pressured speech, grandiosity, which is like a person feeling superhuman or godlike. You might see increased risk-taking behaviors. Usually those are significant risks, like somebody having affairs or using drugs, things that really negatively impact their life. The person might have a decreased need for sleep, which is not just insomnia, but it's truly not needing the sleep and having enormous amounts of energy otherwise.
What is pressured speech?
It means talking very fast, so fast that it's really hard to interrupt them.
And did you ask Ms. Clancy on December 1st questions that would potentially elicit whether or not she met that criteria?
Yes.
And did any of her responses to your questions indicate any instances of mania in her past or present?
No.
What was the plan going forward from that day?
So at this point, she was still seeing the doctors or the the providers at South Shore, and so they were still managing her medications. So the plan was that she had an appointment with them tomorrow. She was considering taking the considering taking the Seroquel without the Remeron because she had had side effects with that, but that wasn't decided on. That was something to consider. And we also talked about starting a medicine called lamotrigine. I just gave her some information about the medicine, and we also talked about her going to a partial hospitalization program, which provides extra support for people who are really struggling.
Lamotrigine, is that Lamictal?
Yes.
And did you prescribe it to her that day or just discuss that option with her?
Just discussed on that day.
Why did you discuss that option with her?
Because it was clear that she had depressive symptoms and she was not tolerating some of the other antidepressants. So I thought that that might be another option to explore.
And you also discussed with her a partial hospitalization program?
Yes.
And why did you do that?
Because she was really having a hard time. She had, mentioned those thoughts of feeling hopeless and the intrusive thoughts. So I referred her to a program that would provide extra support. It would be a program that she went to every single day, not hospitalized. She could still stay at home and be with her family, but that she would have all day care every day for, as long as that was needed.
All right, let's bring in our guest this hour. Still with us, trial attorney Silva and joining us from Kentucky, family law and trial attorney Lauren Brooke. Lauren, great to see you today. Thanks for joining us on the program. Silva, let me begin with you, though. The thing about it here, as we listen to Dr. Tufts, we listen to Dr. Goodhart, the best they know is what Lindsay Clancy told them. And the thing about it, if Lindsay Clancy wasn't fully disclosing the full truth about what she was experiencing, not to say she was, but I'm just throwing out things for speculation. If she was withholding things, does that limit the value of today's testimony from these two treating psychiatrists?
Well, it depends, Cody, right? And first of all, again, thank you so much for having me, and hi, Lauren, as well. Look, here's the issue. It really depends because we actually have a biography that's written, a journal by Lindsay, where she talks about how much she was being affected. But also, let's go into this, Cody. If the jury does not find that these professionals are as experienced or complete in their analysis, could it be possible that they ignored certain things that Lindsay said? That's something that the defense can really pick apart. A lot of what they're testifying to hinges upon whether the jury gives these mental health professionals who treated her legitimacy, or are they questioning their experience? That's going to be the key in understanding whether Lindsay's omissions are taken seriously by the jury as something that shows that she's guilty.
Lauren, let me throw this out there at you. Could it be fair to raise the idea, maybe as a juror or as us as viewers watching this, the idea that, okay, maybe she wasn't suicidal at the time when all this treatment was being undergone by both these treating psychiatrists, but they prescribe her the Zoloft and all these other medications, which, of course, we see all these commercials about these drugs with, side effects may include suicidal thoughts and ideations. Could that be a fair assessment that maybe the medications prescribed could have pushed her to this severe mental state that she was allegedly in on behalf of the defense when she committed these 3 murders?
Absolutely, and I think that's probably the defense that they need to go with. And I think one of the main distinctions here, postpartum depression does not necessarily mean psychosis. Those are 2 different things. So the defense doesn't necessarily have to show that she was just depressed. They've got to show that she was psychotic. And I think when you look at what some of that encompasses, hallucinations, hearing voices, that type of thing, she did make a comment previously to her husband talking about, these intrusive thoughts and these things that she was feeling. And after all of this, when she spoke with her husband, she also made a comment about hearing voices. So I absolutely think anytime you have medications and you've got interactions, as you said, we hear every day on the news, don't take this medicine, your kidneys will be fine, but then you'll have a heart attack. So nobody knows how these medicines are going to interact. And I think that the defense really needs to show that actually they absolutely missed it. And the reason they missed it was because of this later interaction that caused the psychosis.
Silva, does today's testimony from these treating psychiatrists, does it necessarily make the defense's burden more difficult, because jurors hear no psychosis and all that stuff from the treating psychiatrist, or does it make it easier in the simple fact that, it could go so underlyingly that maybe trained professionals and licensed physicians can't even pick up on it?
Absolutely, Cody. I think, again, this is such an amazing defense attorney that I think he will know how to use these prosecutorial witnesses to really show his side. And the fact of the matter is he has two things that he can show. Number one, the fact of the matter is this woman was legitimately seeking help from everyone she could. She was actually being treated by one psych who didn't even know what the postpartum psychosis even was, never treating someone, and another who'd barely had 4 years of experience dealing with someone with such deep psychosis that she was just giving medication after medication, seeing what would work. And I think all of that can work in the defense's favor, along with the fact Lindsay was proactively, constantly seeking answers and how to stabilize her emotions. He's been so brilliant with his cross-examination. I cannot wait to see how he's going to pinpoint these arguments for, advocating for his client.
Lauren, Silva brings up a good point there. Dr. Goodhart, who was on the stand before Dr. Tufts, talking about how she had no experience with anybody with postpartum. Let's take a listen to that moment here, Lauren, where she admits that on the stand.
How many patients have you treated, how many women have you treated that were suffering from postpartum psychosis?
I don't recall. I don't remember, but I think it would stick in my memory, so I don't think that I probably have.
You don't think you probably have?
I don't think I have. I haven't seen any.
Lauren, masterful moment there by the defense. You got this witness up here admitting that you've never dealt with, or you at least don't remember dealing with somebody with postpartum psychosis. Yet the whole crux of this whole case deals with postpartum psychosis. I mean, how does that affect the validity, the credibility of this witness among this jury through your eyes?
I think this case is all about credibility, and it's all about what the witnesses have to say, and it's going to be all about defense versus prosecution experts. And I think if I were sitting on a jury hearing that, that would probably be one of the most crucial parts of this entire case. The fact that this woman had no idea what to even look for other than reading medical journals, she's never dealt with it in person, that's absolutely huge. And I think that, as Silva said, that was a masterful moment by the defense attorney. To get someone to admit I have absolutely zero experience and it's absolutely possible that I missed that because I don't have the experience to see it, that was a pivotal moment. And frankly, that might be the statement that won him the trial.
Absolutely.
It's premature.
Right. We still got plenty of trial left to go. But I mean, that was one of those moments that I feel like is going to stick in the jurors' minds here. And to Silva's point, it's just about that experience. Even though these are licensed physicians, no ageism, not taken away from their merit. But at the same time, you want some hands-on experience when you're dealing with something as meticulous as this. Ladies, stand by. We're going to keep it right here in Massachusetts after this short break. We'll be right back right here on Court TV. Defense attorneys for Lindsay Clancy maintain she was suffering from severe postpartum psychosis when she killed her own 3 children. Now, lawyer Kevin Reddington argues Clancy was in the grip of a devastating mental health crisis and attempted suicide immediately after. Well, currently the Commonwealth has Clancy's treating psychiatrist on the stand disputing all of these claims. Let's go back inside for more testimony.
What it stands for.
And where is that program located?
It's in Massachusetts, I think Brookline.
And when you referred her, when you talked about that program with Ms. Clancy and referred her to that program, what was her response?
Well, I gave her the information for it. It's a program where the patient can call and schedule their intake appointment. So I gave her that information.
And was there any concern at that point? You had mentioned earlier that it's important to have one provider prescribing medication, knowing what you're taking. You knew she was going to the South Shore Perinatal Program. Was there any concern about discussing medications with her, like Lamictal, on the 1st when you knew she was seeing these other providers?
Well, she continued to see me in more of a supportive role, and I was just trying to help her, give her as much information that could potentially be helpful. So it was something for her to discuss with the other providers.
Did you ever reach out to South Shore or to get those records, or ask Lindsay for some type of waiver to get the South Shore records?
No, I didn't. And, the reason why is because she was very aware of what the medications were. She was very able to communicate what the different treatment decisions were. She was very medically sophisticated, so I didn't think it was necessary.
And you were aware she was a labor and delivery nurse, correct?
Yes.
So you were aware she was familiar with medications, and she was able to communicate with you on a level that's not a typical patient, correct?
Yes.
Did you next see her on December 16th, 2022?
Yes.
And did you make that appointment with her, or did she reach out as she did on the December 1st and make her own appointment?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And that appointment on December 16th, 2022, what did you discuss with her that day?
So she was still not feeling well. She said, I'm having a really rough time. She said she found something that was helpful for her sleep, Valium and quetiapine, which is Seroquel. She said it finally works, but feeling very depressed during the day, no motivation, had some SI, suicidal ideation, so she went to Mass General emergency room, declined inpatient. She was feeling hopeless, but didn't have any intent or suicidal plans.
So when she told you that she had some suicidal ideation, did you ask her specifics about that?
Yes.
And what was her response?
So she described it as this hopelessness, like a fear of not getting better.
Did she have a plan on a plan to kill herself, or a plan of how to kill herself?
No.
And you mentioned she told you she went to Mass General Hospital Emergency Department because of these feelings. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did she tell you that they had offered her an inpatient program at McLean and she had turned them down?
Yes.
Did she tell you why she turned them down?
I don't remember.
Did she tell you about plans? Did she tell you what she was taking for medication at that point in the plans for medication?
She said she was taking a mixture of the Valium and the quetiapine, and there was a plan to increase the quetiapine, but currently she was taking 200 milligrams.
And did she also talk to you about the Women and Infants program in Rhode Island?
Yes.
And what did she tell you about that?
She said that she was referred and appointments were being scheduled.
And were you familiar with that program?
I've heard about it.
Okay. What type of program is it?
It's one of those partial hospitalization programs that I had mentioned, but it is focused on postpartum. So I thought that was a good fit.
Did she tell you during this appointment that she thought that her depression was related to the Seroquel?
Yes.
And did she tell you why she thought that?
She thought there was some coinciding of the timing in which she started the Seroquel and started feeling more depressed.
And did you note in the records that it was unclear if Seroquel was causing the depression as reported? She was more depressed the last visit before taking it?
Yes.
Can you just explain that, what your observations were?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if the Seroquel was making her worse because she did already seem depressed before she had started the Seroquel. So I wasn't sure. I thought it was possible, but.
What was the plan going forward from that appointment?
So the plan was for her to go to this Women in Infants program, and if she was having more suicidal thoughts, to go back to the emergency room.
And was she also planning to start Lamictal 25 milligrams daily?
Yes, at that moment, given how the depression was continuing and worsening, I did feel like after we had discussed the Lamictal numerous times that I did need to step in and prescribe that for her.
And you prescribed the...
More testimony from Dr. Tufts coming up after this short break. Keep it right here on your front row seat to justice. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Cody Thomas. Now, jurors are hearing crucial testimony from Dr. Jennifer Tufts, the psychiatrist who treated Lindsay Clancy prior to the 3 killings of her own children. Now, her defense lawyers allege Dr. Tufts failed to properly diagnose and treat Clancy's declining mental health, but the witness and her medical group deny any liability, maintaining that the tragedy was not reasonably foreseeable. Let's get back inside the courtroom for more of her testimony.
100.
And so, again, you prescribed the lowest dose to start with, correct?
Yes.
And was she to continue with the Seroquel that she had been prescribed by the South Shore perinatal program?
Yes.
And what about Valium?
So I didn't make a recommendation on the Valium. I think there was a plan already in place on tapering it that I supported.
And did you do anything in terms of reaching out to her providers at South Shore Perinatal to let them know you were adding a prescription, or did you communicate with Ms. Clancy about letting her providers know?
I communicated with Lindsay about that, and she was so good at giving me all of these updates about what she did with them. I figured she would tell them when she next saw them.
And did she tell you that she would update them?
I believe so.
Was the next time you saw Ms. Clancy on January 6, 2023?
Yes.
And how did that appointment come about?
So again, I don't often do the scheduling. I'm not sure exactly whether I had scheduled that or she had.
Did you learn during that appointment that Ms. Clancy had just been discharged from McLean Hospital?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did Ms. Clancy tell you about her current mental state and what had happened between your last appointment on December 16th and now this appointment on January 6th?
So she was continuing to feel depressed and attributing it to the Seroquel that she had been taking. So the idea was going to McLean so that she could be safely taken off of the Seroquel.
And was it at McLean, according to Ms. Clancy, that she had tapered off the Seroquel?
Yes.
And so on January 6th, did she tell you what she was prescribed at that time?
Yes.
And what was that?
Trazodone 100 milligrams, Ativan 1 milligram, and melatonin 5 milligrams.
Okay. And are these all low doses of these medications?
Yes.
Did you ask her if she had current suicidal ideation?
Yes.
And what did she say?
No.
Did you ask her if she had homicidal ideation?
Yes.
And what was her response?
No.
Did you observe any signs or symptoms of psychosis in her presentation, answers, or behavior?
No, I did not.
Did you ask her about whether she was having side effects from these medications, the Trazodone and the Ativan and the melatonin?
Yes.
What was her response?
So the only side effect she felt was that potentially when the Ativan would wear off, she would take it at night, and then in the morning it would wear off, and she would feel more anxious after it wore off.
And in terms of the Trazodone, did she say she had any side effects from the Trazodone?
No.
And melatonin, what is melatonin?
Melatonin is a chemical that the brain makes that tells us it's time to go to sleep. It's associated with the circadian rhythm. It's not a prescription, actually. It's a medicine that you can pick up in over the counter at the pharmacy.
And is it just to help regulate sleep?
Yes.
What was her mood, according to Ms. Clancy, on that date?
She was feeling numb.
Numb?
Numb.
Did that cause you any concern?
Yes.
And why is that?
Well, she still appeared quite depressed.
And in what way? Was that her affect?
It was, yes. Her affect was congruent, meaning it was the same as her mood.
Okay. So, just so we can understand, so if I tell you I'm happy and I appear happy, is that congruent?
Yes.
And if I tell you I'm happy but I appear sad, is that incongruent?
Yes.
And is that important when evaluating a patient?
Yes.
And why is that?
Sometimes it's not congruent, and there could be all sorts of reasons why, but it's just something to pay attention to.
And so on this day, though, her mood and her affect were congruent.
Yes.
Okay. And was there a plan formulated for that day? On that day?
Yes. So the plan on that day was to increase the trazodone to 150 milligrams. She had previously taken that dose and tolerated it well. And she had just come off of the Seroquel at at McLean. So we were still in the phase where we were monitoring to see if the depression might get better off of that medicine.
And is that why you didn't immediately prescribe a new antidepressant?
Yes.
And was she to continue the Ativan at 1 milligram per night and the melatonin at 5 milligrams per night?
Yes.
And I believe in this note for under condition, you wrote deteriorating?
Yes.
And why is that?
So it sounds like a very strong word. I will give some context that it's not my choice of a word. I have 3 options when I'm filling that out. I can say a patient is improving, unchanged, or deteriorating. So she wasn't improving and she wasn't really unchanged. She appeared a little bit worse than the last time I had seen her. So the best word is to say deteriorating.
Okay. Was there anything about her presentation or affect, things that she told you that led you to believe that she was in imminent danger of harming herself or someone else?
No, there wasn't. And we had, she was feeling depressed and we had a plan to address that.
Is there something you can do if you have a patient who you think is at risk of harming themselves or others?
Yes.
And what is that?
I could issue a Section 12, which would mandate that they be brought to a hospital for treatment, or at least for evaluation and then possible treatment.
And did you feel that was necessary at that time with Ms. Clancy?
No.
And when you're evaluating a patient, taking the history, looking at their current state, looking at what the answers they give you to the questions, are you reliant on the information that they give you?
Yes.
So if a patient withholds important information, is it hard to make a diagnosis or a plan?
Yes.
Was your next appointment with Ms. Clancy on January 9th, 2023?
Yes.
And what was discussed at that appointment?
So she said that the trazodone increase was helpful. She was still getting that rebound anxiety the day after she took the Ativan. The mood was okay, but she was feeling like she was still flat. She wasn't able to cry, but she said she was able to laugh a little bit, and hadn't been having recent thoughts of suicidal ideation.
Had not been?
Had not been.
And did you also ask her if she had any homicidal ideation?
Yes.
And what was her response?
No.
Did you notice any signs or symptoms of psychosis?
No, I did not.
Did you have a discussion with her about trying an antidepressant?
Yes, I did.
And what was that discussion?
So at this point, she had been off of the Seroquel for a couple weeks, and she wasn't getting better. So I thought that suggested the Seroquel might not have been what was causing depression, and it was depression. So that was what we needed to treat.
And what were your suggestions for treatment of the depression?
We considered some different options. We didn't pick a medicine on that date, but we considered amitriptyline and Wellbutrin.
And Wellbutrin was one of the medications she had taken when she was in nursing school, correct?
Yes.
And you discussed those medications on the 9th. Why wasn't a decision made that day?
Because we had made a different medication change because of that rebound anxiety with the Ativan. We decided to switch that to diazepam, which is Valium, and it has a longer half-life, meaning it's broken down by the body much more slowly, so you're less likely to get that rebound anxiety. And also the nice thing about the diazepam is it's easier to stop gradually. You can every week or every couple weeks, you can increase the dose by just 1 or 2 milligrams. So it's a lot easier to stop. So I felt that that was a better alternative. And she also wanted to be off of the Ativan, and be able to sleep without that kind of medicine.
All right, folks, stand by. More of the direct examination coming up on the other side of the break. The direct of Dr. Jennifer Tufts here, right here on your front row seat to judge. The tragic events unfolded on January 24, 2023 at the Clancy home in suburban Duxbury, Massachusetts. Now, prosecutors state Lindsay Clancy strangled her 3 young children, 5-year-old Cora, 3-year-old Dawson, and 8-month-old Callan, before jumping from a second-story window in a suicide attempt of her own. Now, the timeline remains a central focus for both legal teams, and currently, the prosecution is focusing on the time leading up to those murders and the treatment Clancy was receiving from her psychiatrist.
It just means that when the medication that treats the anxiety gets out of the system, the anxiety comes back, and it comes back even worse.
And you explained it a little bit, but what is a half-life of a medication, and what does that mean in terms of the body processing it and how it affects you?
Yeah, so it's a little bit complicated, but it's basically the time it takes for half of the medicine to be broken down by the body.
And that tells you or indicates to you how long it lasts in the system?
Yes.
And so you were saying that Valium, the diazepam, the Valium, might avoid the rebound anxiety because it's slower to leave the body. Is that right?
Yes.
Did Ms. Clancy send you, after this appointment on the 9th, January 9th, did she send you emails on January 11th, 2023, asking you about your knowledge and thoughts on ketamine therapy and whether that would be a good option for her?
Yes, she did.
And what was your response to that? If you can't find it, I can bring it up to you.
I think I have it. So I mentioned that it's a great option, but it can be hard to get the insurance coverage for it. Usually you need to have demonstrated that you've tried 4 different antidepressants first, and so that it might be necessary to try another medicine first.
Okay. In that email where she was asking you about ketamine therapy, did she tell you that she was, did she say, I'm still feeling a very low mood, no motivation, just very depressed. This has been going on for months now, and I'm getting desperate for something that would work quickly to get me out of this depressed state. Do you remember that being part of the email?
Yes.
Had she indicated thoughts like that to you before, wanting something that would work quickly to help her feel better quickly?
I mean, she may have said that once or twice.
Do you know where... strike that. Did you ever recommend ketamine therapy to you, or is this something she broached to you in this email for the first time?
It was something I had considered because at this point she was starting to be a bit treatment resistant, and ketamine is a treatment for treatment resistant depression. So it's a reasonable thought, but I didn't think we were at that point yet.
And you mentioned that insurance companies usually require you to try 4 antidepressants. Is that correct?
Yes.
And when you say treatment resistant, is that someone who is in depression, but the typical medications aren't working for them?
Yes.
All right, still watching along with us this hour, trial attorney Silva and Lauren Brooke. First of all, ladies night, you guys know I love a little touch of female intuition every time. Lauren, let me begin with you here, Lauren. Let's talk about once it eventually gets to the point of cross-examination, once the defense gets up there and, I assume it's going to be very intense. But Lauren, let me get your thoughts. I think the defense should tread a little carefully on their cross-examination, not to say they shouldn't be stern, but to kind of avoid as if they're appearing to blame this psychiatrist for the tragedies when at the end of the day, it was still, unfortunately, this defendant, Lindsay Clancy here, who did commit these murders that the defense is not disputing.
And I agree with that, Cody. You've got to tread very carefully anytime you have a case where the victim, when someone else makes an admission to something. If you've got a case where, sexual assault case, for example, you're not going to sit and victim shame a victim throughout the trial. So I think that defense attorney needs to very carefully do this. So as you said, the jury doesn't think he's just simply putting the blame off on someone else. Well, you missed it, so this is why she did it. I think he's got to do it with compassion, which is hard to do when you're trying to viciously cross-examine someone and save your client's life. But I agree. I think he's got to make it so, hey, listen, anybody could have missed this. We understand that you missed this. These certain signs didn't present themselves, and maybe possibly talk about the medical interaction later and almost give her an out through that and just say, is it possible that because the medicine interacted after you met with her, that this was something you couldn't have recognized? This was something that nobody could have recognized. So I really think he does have to tread carefully with that and those assertions.
Silva, I want to get your thoughts as well on the same sentiment here. It's going to be a fine line to walk. Of course, we can't wait until the cross-examination. We know it's going to be, I assume fireworks are going to come out, not necessarily in this whole exciting way, but just the fact that he's just a masterful defense attorney. But at the same time, you don't want to turn it into this whole, for lack of a better term, like a referendum on the quality of Lindsay Clancy's psychiatric help versus her actual criminal responsibility, which is the reason we're here.
Yes, Cody, I think, look, Mr. Reddington is an interesting defense attorney. He's so brilliant. He did go a little far with one of the other medical professionals that treated Lindsay in the ER, where he kind of attacked, and I thought, whoa, he needs to kind of slow the attacks down because these guys were just doing their jobs. I think with this psychiatrist, he has to walk a fine line. I do think he has, I would be a little bit aggressive to say, she's testifying very well, but I think it's critical because she is being sued through this to kind of show that she stumbled, that she wanted to treat this with medication, and maybe shut down other things, for instance, the ketamine therapy. But she's testifying well. You do not want to look like a bully. This is where age comes in. You have a very experienced older defense attorney male against a very young, obviously educated, testifying well, very much younger female. He needs to be cognizant of that. The jury will turn off if he appears as a bully, but the jury will turn off also if he's too kind. He has to find that balance. And if anyone can do it, Cody and Lauren, it's this defense attorney. I have been so impressed. And Cody, you know me. I'm sometimes
Silva, I gotta cut you off here because we got to get to a break. But of course, I thank you so much for joining us. Great to always see you. Lauren Brooke, unfortunately, you're sticking around with me. Folks, stand by. More testimony from Massachusetts next.